What would you say was the key for you to be working in a 9 to 5 job, full time at a bank, and moving to doing something that you love, working on your passion full time? What do you think was the key for that?
I worked for the corporate American company for 14 years. And when I was in that space, I tried to move up. I did everything I could to be a supervisor or lead or something, just to move up in that world. And it didn't happen for me. I kept getting declined over and over to the point where I was exhausted and tired and of trying. Then I started getting into, at the same time I was working at the bank, I started to throw these underground art shows because I needed to make some extra money for me and my kids because I'm a single mom of 3. I wasn't able to, it was really hard for me to afford to put them in football. And Pop Warner is very expensive. So I was trying to think of ways to make another income. And so I started throwing these art shows. And from the art shows, it went from just doing my own art. From the own art, it went to these murals. And so while I was doing these murals and working for Bank of America, I noticed that there was a different feeling. Something was happening, and it's hard to explain. But 2017, I was invited by a mural project called Wall Therapy, and they invited me to go paint in Rochester, New York, and that was my first solo gig. And it was New York, and I couldn't believe it. So when I went there to paint that mural went viral, and I couldn't believe it. It was my first one, and I've assisted before, but never doing something by myself. So when I went back to work, my boss found out, my coworkers found out, and they were really happy for me, and they shared it. And we had a team meeting, a team hall, so everybody was there, and I got awarded for something. But anyways, my boss, Al, was like, and speaking of, Lucinda just did a mural in New York, and then he announced it to everybody. And everyone's like, what? And I remember the Bank of America, I don't want to say the VPs, but it was someone high up. They all circled up my desk after the meeting and wanted to see the work that I was doing. And I showed them the mural, and they were just blown away. And right before I went home that day at 5:00, it was just me and one of the higher up boss. I forgot his name. He came to my desk and he looked at the mural and he just looked at me. He goes, "Man, that's really something." He didn't want to say it felt like he wanted to say "Man, you should really be doing that versus this," And he just kept shaking, just put his hands on his hips. He's like, "That's really something. That's really impressive resume you got there." And he walked away and he turned around and looked at me again. It was like, wow. And I was like, maybe I should leave this job. But it wasn't, I was too scared to leave. Again, I'm a single mother of 3. I was really scared. But then things started getting more and more opportunities started to come, and I wasn't able to handle my job. And then my boss had told me into the office to go over my numbers because I wasn't meeting the standards. And he told me to make a decision. He said, "Lulu," he goes, "you really got to make up your mind what you want to do. It's either, here or your art." And I was like, oh man. So I didn't quit at that moment, but 2 weeks later, when my manager pulled me to the office, he wanted to go over my numbers again. I was like, no. And then my coworker, Cliff, was like, "Hey, if you don't put your 2 weeks in right now, I'm going to do it for you." I was like, no. So at that moment, when I went to the office, I put in my 2 weeks. And my manager, Al, said, "Man, Lulu, I'm so proud of you. I already knew. Everybody told me but you." I was like, I started laughing. And then, you know what? My coworkers still support me. I left in 2018 to do art full time. And since then, it's been I haven't had time to be scared. I didn't have no savings. I didn't have any of that. I just took a leap of faith, and everything's been working out. And my manager, Al, my old manager, messaged me a few weeks ago and to tell me that he's so proud. He's like, "I'm so happy that I made you leave your job."
Yeah. Can you tell us how you felt when you heard the news, when you got that email from NFL saying that you were going to be designing producing the artwork for the Super Bowl. What was your initial reaction?
I thought the email was fake. I thought it was a spam email. But when we had the meeting, the first meeting, I was told to send in the proposal. I was in shock. I was excited. I was nervous because, working with the NFL, everything's very fast paced. And so they needed it. It was a fast turnaround. But I did not hesitate. I put that proposal together and I sent it to them. And maybe a few days later, I got that Zoom call, and it was really exciting. It was emotional for me. I had my family, my kids standing next to me. And like I was telling others, it's like I felt like I got drafted for the NFL for a moment, because I was like, oh my God, the anticipation that, to wait to see if I got it. And then when I got the word that I got it, I just let out the tears. And that's because I got I just saw a glimpse of everything I've been through to get here. And it was like validation. So it is like, I've been through so much. And not only that, raising 3 kids on my own, working full time, and never giving up. And then being a woman of color, and also with, brown and indigenous roots, it's not easy. It's not easy. And so I'm really proud to be here, and I deserve it. Yeah. And to see the people's reaction to the painting makes me like emotional, happy, but in a happy way, because people, it's like the messages I'm receiving is like they're so proud because they see themselves in it. It's like they're finally being seen, and that makes me emotional. That makes me proud. But also, there's also people telling me like, oh, it gives me goosebumps, or made me cry. I'm not crying, you're crying. Like those kind of things. And it's like, wow, I knew something big was going to happen, but I didn't know how it was going to play out. And now receiving all these messages and like all this love and support, it just means so much. And I'm really happy. It's I don't do this for fame. I don't do this for money. I do it because it's like, it's a bigger purpose in myself. I really connect to Creator, my ancestors, and I'm just a tool. I'm an ally of theirs, and they work through me. And that's how this happens. Like everything I do, it just goes viral. From the Missing and Murder Indigenous mural to these other murals that I've worked on, it's like they become this magnet. They become this form of medicine for people. They can, and so it's very it's like so surreal for me, right now. It's hard not to get emotional.
Yeah. Lucinda, what would you tell young women, single mothers that want to follow their dreams, that they want to work in something they're passionate about and accomplish big things like you're doing right now?
I would say really anything is possible. Have faith. Faith is number one, and determination to keep going no matter what happens, no matter what obstacle there is. Everything is figure outable. I did go to college for a few years, but I really don't have that degree or the academic background. I did this all on my own because of that determination. I didn't look left, I didn't look right. I just kept moving forward. And the thing is when you're in path, when you're aligned, abundance and prosperity naturally comes. So not even to worry about that. Just lead from your heart, and and then you got it. I'm like, if I can do it, they can do it too. And there's a lot of, there's just so much. I wish I could say so much more, but I'm a talker.